Welcome, everybody. It's really great to see you all, even though we are a few on this call. So this town hall presentation is targeted geared towards third, fourth, and fifth grade parents. We will do another presentation for first and second graders. I decided to split the presentation because some schedules and the basic plan is the same, but we are going into the more fine tune of the plan, and so we have some differences. We have some similarities, but we have some differences regarding the different age group of students. So that's the reason why we decided to do two presentations. I would like to thank Maylin for taking the time to be here and just helping me with managing the interactive and the Q&A. So during this presentation, a little housekeeping. So this presentation will go into the details of the distance learning plan for third, fourth, and fifth grade, and also in-person instructions. Sorry for the typo. So in-person meaning when we get back on campus, if when, I don't know, regarding the health authorities or the waiver that we will apply to, but I want to give you some insights on both of these plans and see if you have any questions on those. Please turn off your microphone. It will be better for everybody to
Sebastien, sorry, you're muted right now. That was my fault.
Okay, no, it's okay. So yeah, as I said, this session will be recorded. So turn off your camera if you don't want to be recorded. And at the end, we will have the opportunity to ask your questions in the chat box. So anytime if you want to just, write your questions when you see the slides, and then at the end, Maylin will come back on those questions, and I will be able to answer if I can to your questions. This plan for the back to school, I would like to cover different topics. First topics is around the schedules. Then I would like to deal with instructions, community building, the extracurricular that we will offer. I want also to cover the well-being of students and how we are going to cover that. Individual support, how we will manage this. The learning pods, as you all received the classrooms assignments and learning pods, I want also touch base on that. And at the end, and how we will do that. Before diving into some schedules and all these topics, as you remember, last year the lower school was around passion and innovation. I don't remember, but when I kick off the back to school meetings, this is what I said to introduce the lower school and the mindset for the 2019 and 2020 school year, passion and innovation. And I think we did a lot of those over the last year of school year. I think this year will be more around creativity and inspiration. Creativity, because we need to be creative in those difficult times. We know the burden that is on you parents that has suddenly become co-teachers or teachers' aid, and how you need also support, clarity of explanation, guidelines, and all those different helps that will really make a difference when we talk about teaching and learning. Inspiration, because also we want to move a little bit our distance learning plan forward, and we want to maybe be able to do more project management, less regular or systematic exercise, but we want to make more sense between the skills and the activity, the task and the skills. And so we definitely need to move forward some types of activities. So this inspiration will be I think a great point for our students over this year. So the schedule. So this is typically the type of schedule that you will see within the different grade level classes. So basically in the morning and usually in the evening, we'll have a whole class live, so sessions geared toward community building, SEL, checking in, planning of the day, individual plan, what's next, what was learned the day before. So those live class are important to start the day and to end the day. And it's also a great way for the students to really tie some, relationships with their peers. Because in the day, we are going to do more small groups instructions. We have definitely learned from the last school year distance learning plan that small group instruction is more effective. It enables the students to interact with the teacher. It enables the students to interact also with their peers. We'll use more tools like Zoom and breakout rooms, and be able to have this peer work as we would have done, in person. Students usually learn from their peers. They learn from interactions. They learn when they are confronted to other types of, perspective or point of views. And we want to recreate this, instruction model. Those small groups with the teacher will happen throughout the day. Of course, when the teacher is with a group, the other group will do some independent work, using online tools, project-based, copybooks. We will assign some work, also French, English, and social studies. This work is more focused on French, English, social studies, and of course SEL. We want to review the pace of our teaching, and we want to review also the content. Last spring, school year was challenging for a lot of students, and some might have, fall into the cracks, or some skills might be fragile. We want to have the time to review most of the skills that have been taught the grade before, to be able also to fine tune some assessments, and really have a good sense of where the student is, and how we can offer him some growth, and how we can help him grow in all those different skills. So this is very important for us. We'll keep, the digital recess in the morning and for lunch. It was a nice way for students to connect between each other in an, informal way. So our enrichment staff will still open rooms, and the students will have this opportunity to, do things like they were doing last year: dance, chat, interact with their peers. So we think it's a community building aspect also, but in an informal way, and which is very important. In the afternoon, we'll keep these small groups, going on with concept instruction. The concept, also in these small groups, we can really, target the teaching. So doing more individualized teaching. The groups will, be built by also level. So we can offer, and we can really teach very, very, very specific skills to our students, and not do one size fits all. So this is really where we are going. Independent work also in the afternoon, when we have this small groups instruction. We want also for the instruction and the schedule. So we want to be mindful of the screen time. So we would like to limit the use of screen time, and balance real instruction and independent work. Independent work can use some online tools, a video to see on Zoom, for example. You have a different concept all recorded, but we want also be able, during this independent work, to be unplugged. So the student is really completely unplugged and is doing something, paper, pencil, building a poster, having this creativity, so that there is maybe a presentation after, and without being, all day long behind the screen. This is very important. So the rhythm in the week, the teachers will give you the, the schedules, but based on a week. So this is I think where it will slightly change from last year. We had on a daily basis plan or schedule. We would like them to give you an overview of the week with maybe the skills that will be acquired, all the activities that will be done, with also optionals and giving you some kinds of room within those work. So we have this opportunity, you have this opportunity to be more flexible. The specialists will be more spread out in the week. Last year, the fifth graders were on a kind of different model than the third and fourth. The third and fourth, we had dedicated an afternoon for specialists, whereas the fifth graders had kind of spread them out. And when we reviewed and assessed our distance learning plan, it was clear that having a kind of big chunk of specialist time in the afternoon was a bit overwhelming. You had music, art, maybe STEM, and it was a lot. And so we have decided to spread them out in the week, which is, I think, more pedagogically, efficient. We'll have one day or one specialist. It will give, a sense also of regularity, and it's going to be, I think, a better solution for our students. We'll have some enrichment program at the end of the day. And Mirza will send out also the different, offers and activities that we will also do after the school. So the distance learning, the instruction. So the instruction, basically last year we had a good distance learning plan. We set up, quite a lot of online tools. We mainly use the same tools. So we'll have CISO, and we are, as of now, debating if we can maybe use CISO also in fifth grade. The fifth grader used to use Google, Classroom, because at the middle school they use Google Classroom. So we thought that would be a nice continuity. We are starting with the year, remotely, and our rising fifth graders did not use Google Classroom tools or Suite a lot. So it might be challenging for them. So that's where we are thinking maybe starting with CISO would be a good idea, and then moving on to Google Suite as we move also on the school year. Can be a good way. More collaborative online tools, meaning that we're thinking of using, for example, Nearpod, which is a very nice, poster-like collaborative online website. Flipgrid is also a nice thing. Over the summer, there are so many tools that have been improved by the different companies, and so to really align with our needs regarding distance learning. Collaborative tools are a key to learn, and we want to use them. We want our students to be engaged. So that's the reason why engaging strategies will be at the core of our instructions and distance learning. As I said, we will review our content. So when our faculty will be back during the back to school days, we will review the pace of learning, but also the content, and focus more on what was learned during the spring distance learning, and see how we can assess them, see how the skills are set, if they are on a solid ground, or if they need to be reviewed. So that will be the focus of the first month and a half. So direct instruction with specialists. Specialists will be, as I said, spread over the week, and we'll do live instruction, so synchronous instruction. Community building. So we are thinking of doing onboarding days, afternoons, 1 hour and a half, dedicated to small groups on campus. So we'll have half of a class or a pod. We have to decide how we are going to handle this situation, but we really want to be able to welcome our students on campus, a kind of, really get to know each other, how we are going to work, what is your mindset. So the first week will be geared toward, towards circle time, social emotional learning, where they are, how icebreaker activities. And then the other weeks will be focused on academic assessment. We think that assessing our students in person gives more more data than just online or with any other tools. It's really something that we want to go. We'll do also some technological trainings. So we know that most of them are really aware and are really, they know how to use all the different platforms, but we want to also remind them of how to use it. We want to also remind them of, what does it mean when they are, on Zoom or using, some chat box or whatever. So those kinds of expectations we will review with them. It's important that these expectations, are shared within the class with their teacher, so they know what we are expecting from them. And of course, these groups, these onboarding days, it will happen outside in the yard. So we'll have different groups in the yard, and the students and the teachers will wear masks and of course be physical distance from one another. We have designed all these safety protocols, so this is basically what we will do. It will be also a good transition of when we will get back on campus, because when we get back on campus, it will be really a different vibe than what they had experienced in the past. So it's kind of a small transition, but it can be very good for them to feel what's the new reality. So the extracurricular, they will offer a variety, of activities with vendors online, and you will be able to sign up for the different classes as if you were on campus. So Mirza will send out soon an email with all the different classes. The digital experience will be improved. Mirza has worked with his team to be able to come up with some activities with more ideas on how to engage our students, and not just open a room and just put some music, but really have engaging activities as we do for the learning, the teaching and learning. Well-being. So the well-being in those difficult times is one of our top priority. So we want, as I said, be mindful of screen time. Our counselors will screen all students during the first 2 weeks of school. She will go into the Zoom meetings, but also maybe sometimes on site to do some check-ins with the students that she knows, but also maybe go in the class and do check-ins and see how the students are feeling. This well-being is tied also with the project-based learning. Having this time to unplug from screen is really important, and we really believe that the balance needs to be found during the day and over the week. So this is where we will do more regarding this than last year. So I put this picture for you also to be aware that the school starts in 2 weeks now, and so I think it's a good time for the students to get back to maybe a routine, bed routine, trying to get some used to go to bed earlier, start the day earlier, maybe do some work, maybe 1 hour per day. They could do some French and English, and maybe 1 hour per day some readings. I think the mindset of working needs to be implemented before we start school. Otherwise, some students it will be really hard, since we are really starting remotely. So this rhythm needs to be implemented, I think, as of starting this week, as it will be a better way to come into the school year. So I wanted to make also a difference between the classroom, the learning pods. So you have received two lists, the classroom lists and the learning pod. So the classroom is the classroom that we are using during the distance learning. So the child belongs to a classroom. We'll have a French teacher, English teacher, and specialist teacher. The classroom lists are sometimes different from learning pods. For example, we have always two classrooms in grade 3, 4, and 5, which will become 3 learning pods. So basically, some students had to be separated, moved into 3 different learning pods. Those 3 learning pods will work as more co-teaching. So we will still do on a weekly period. So I'm talking about when we go back on campus, of course, because this is on campus and this is distance learning. So when we go back on campus, those co-teaching models, so I'm talking in G4 and G5, usually we have 1 week in French, 1 week in English. So now we'll have 3 pods. So we have a learning facilitator who will take the 3rd pod. So we'll have 1 week in French, 1 week in English, 1 week with the learning facilitator that will be also split into 3 days in French and 2 days in English. Meaning that we want to keep, even during the 3rd week, we want to keep this ratio. You know, the ratio we have, we had a 55-45. We had not a 50-50 because of all the specialist, you know, subjects that are being taught in French. So we want to keep this alignment with our instructional model. We are, you know, as you know, created by the French Ministry of Education, and we cannot have, for example, the third week totally in English, as it would not make sense for our instructional model. So this is very important. So this model of co-teaching, of course, the learning facilitator will be in close contact with you know, the different teacher, the English teacher and the French teacher. The English teacher and the French teacher will give all the learning materials, will prepare all the classes for the learning facilitator to be able to deliver it. So it's gonna be, you know, something I think very different. It's gonna be also a learning process for everybody, but we want to make sure that the material is in alignment with you know, the class, the pace, and our curriculum. So it will be delivered by someone else, another teacher, but it will really fit in our curriculum and what the students should do. So maybe during those times, it could be more project, you know, based, less, you know, maybe skills, dedicated skills, but more review on skills or something like that. So it could be also a nice way to do this third week with the learning facilitator. So now the support, how we are going to support our students. So the support is still being done by teachers, you know, differentiation. So the teachers are well trained. Last year we spent a lot of time with our lower school teachers working on, you know, differentiating within the class, how differentiating, you know, the material, but the way also of teaching, how we can implement small groups and, you know, level groups. So I think this is one of our strengths of our faculty. Individual support during the distance learning will be also delivered by some teachers who have extra hours, you know, because some models are not, for example, a grade 3. The instruction model is 65% in French and 35% in English, which means that some teachers have some room to be able to do small groups. I would like also to make a note on the student support team. Our student support team coordinator, Camille Trou, resigned late in July to move back to France with her family. So now we don't have, you know, this learning specialist, and so we are thinking on different ways on how we can also help our students, but you know, it's difficult times also, so we don't know if we will be able to really find someone else, find a sub, or maybe move you know, our faculty around and help our students differently. So this was one of yeah, you know, one thing that was really sad, because she was really helping a lot. She was more focused on grade 1 and 2, but still she was also helping a lot of teachers with creating some contents for dyslexic students, for students who have learning difficulties. But we have a lot of resources from her, and so we are also still in contact with her. So we can also be flexible and creative around that. So on-campus instruction. So on-campus instruction. So as you already know, I hope, the learning pods are assigned a letter. So A class, B class, C class, and D class, which means that they have different times during the day. So all the A learning pods will start at 8:15 and end at 2:30. We created all these different staggered schedules to be able really to stagger the recess, the lunch, but also the drop off, pick up, because we don't want 200 students to come at the same time at the front gate, as we will have also safety protocols, temperature check, and also the app checking, etc. So the entry to the campus will be a little bit different and delayed. So we need to have this time. So you'll have a 15 time frame during pick up and drop off to come and pick up and drop off your students. In case you are late, we are also thinking of a protocol where we would have another maybe entry. So one student doesn't mix with other pods. All this idea of pods is really a kind of family bubble. We don't want the students to mix in the hallways. We don't want students to mix in the recess. And so we don't want students to mix also in the pickup drop-off, system. So we are really thinking of different alternatives for people who would come in late at the school. So this is the different hours. Please note, and I hope that you are aware that school ends at 2:30 and we don't offer aftercare. So there's no aftercare. When we will be back on campus, we can't have aftercare, because we need to keep the bubble. Mainly we have 18 learning pods, so for the lower school, and it would be impossible to have 18, enrichment staff keeping some students, or even, mixing different students from pods, even outside, and we'll have, the rainy days, and it's going to be really counterproductive on our system. So unfortunately, we won't be able to offer aftercare. So as I said, in third grade, we have 3 pods. So the 3 teachers in third grade will do a rotation. So the timetables have been designed. So basically the three pods will have this co-teaching system where Elodie will teach for the first period, for example, while in pod A, while Caroline is in pod D at the same time, or maybe 15 minutes delayed, and while Heather, the English teacher, is with the other pod. And so I've designed the schedule to be able to mix while still keeping this instructional model, 65 in French, 35 in English, which was a nightmare to design the timetables, but hopefully it will work. So the staggered entries and recesses. We'll have 3 different entries. We'll have Eins, we'll have the garden gate, and we'll have a front gate. And depending on where the classroom is and where the student is, you will be assigned a different entries. So the co-teaching model, so I told you about that. So different teacher for one pod. For the specialist, the PE will be outside, garden will be outside. Christopher will still teach SEL, and we are aiming at doing this outside. Otherwise, he will have to do Zoom in the different pods, since he's doing all the pods, which is not very convenient for a social emotional class. So we are really trying to find a spot, but outside in the yard, with all these pods staggered from 9 a.m. to almost 3 p.m. every 15 to 30 minutes, with a lunch that needs to be outside, with pick up and drop off. It's complicated. And I don't know if you also saw that, but we don't have the basketball court anymore. We have put some portables, so two classrooms for the maternelle to be able to expand also their space. So it will be a challenge, but we want you know, our specialist teacher to do outside. The STEAM will mainly be via Zoom online. So the science teacher will bring some materials to a class and do you know, a Zoom in from the makerspace, for example, and the lead teacher inside the class will help the students. Art will also be online via Zoom. We really want to keep you know, a core team around each bubble where we don't want to mix you know, all the teachers and have too many teachers with too many classes, if we want to keep this this bubble approach, this learning pods approach. And of course, we'll have strict safety protocols. The safety protocols have been designed, as you know, and as you heard Mehdi last Tuesday, you know, for the sake of everybody. So we ask you that you do a self-check in the morning via an app. We'll have a temperature check. As soon as a student shows symptoms, you will be asked to come and pick up your child. If your child is experiencing temperature at the entrance, you won't be granted entry on campus. It's going to be really strict. If we want this to work, we have to be rigid and strict. It cannot be another way. If we have you know, a kind of loose protocol where even if you know, a student is not feeling well, we welcoming on campus, it might compromise the entire pod, and at the end it might compromise the entire, you know, learning process. So we don't want to we don't want that. That's the reason why also you will receive the community pledge. You know, if you see people, please wear a mask, physical distance yourself, see the people or the students from your pod, which is what we ask from you. Really try to keep you know, our community safe by also, you know, acting as, you know, in your personal life to, you know, with all these safety measures. It will be a win-win if everybody in the community is able to apply to himself or, you know, to himself something that is really strict. Communication. So the communication, so it's not the date here, it's just the steps. Communication is a key with the teachers. So we are also thinking of maybe having office hours when you can, by appointments, you know, talk with your teacher. I think we have also to have this, as I said, clarity of task and skills, alignments of task and skills, but clarity also of pedagogy. You know, the more you know about why we are doing that, how we are learning this, is going to help your child and your family. So this communication piece with the teacher, the relation teacher-family is something that we want also, you know, to ramp up and emphasize. If your child is struggling or, you know, has a very bad online experience, it is important that you let us know. So we want to be here to help. On the other hand, we want also the students to know that there are some things that we expect from them. You know, they are accountable on being on time on Zoom, having this, you know, Zoom expectations where the camera is on. We try to be flexible, but if we also want community building and, you know, the different relationship between peers and teacher and student, it is important that we all abide by these accountability rules. I want to also stress that starting a year remotely is not the same as going on an year remotely. So last year, the relationship, all the community building was done. They knew the class routines because they had been with a teacher for 6 months before going, you know, remotely. Right now, they start with a new class, with a new teacher, with new class routines, new class expectation. It is important that we really have this communication and that we feel all together that we are part of the same class, same community. So that's why I put a slide on communication, because it's going to be key. So Starting on the first and second week, we'll have the back to school meetings. Of course, it will be online via Zoom. In September, we'll do also a town hall, with you. So you will be able maybe to give me some feedbacks on this updated distance learning plan, and also, do maybe some adjustment if we are able to. In November, it's not further. I think it's 11. On November, we'll have a parent-teacher conference. And of course, mid-January, we'll have the report cards. During the first month of September, we want to assess our students. We want to give them really, fine-tuned, detailed assessments so we know where they are. In the spring, we didn't do also our standardized testing called MAP, Measure of Academic Progress. Because it was new and we were not sure that, administrating standardized tests in another environment than the school would give us good data. Anyway, this year we will do, so in the fall, we will do, the MAP test, the Measure of Academic Progress, but we'll do differently. It won't be with the whole class, it will be with small groups. I think the period will be longer. We'll welcome also maybe some students, all the students with learning difficulties that need help and support. We'll welcome them on campus so they can be administered on campus with someone that can help them. And we'll have also this communication with you because, a standardized test is standardized test. So we need each of the stakeholders needs to be very, knowledgeable about what their role is and how you can help or not help your child. So it's important. So this is for the communication piece. And that's it. 10, 11. So we have around 20 minutes to be able to do some questions and answer. I want to thank you all for being for your attention, for being present. This year is going to be challenging for sure. We will experience, I think, a roller coaster of emotions. We are here to help. We as parents, but also educators, feel that we can really make a better distance learning plan and help you in all the different aspects of your family, because we know that there is not one single response. You all have your day-to-day work time or other family arrangements, because you have younger kids, because you have different stuff going on. So it's really hard, and we are here to help you as much as we can. So thank you very much for your attention. And now maybe Maylene, I'm going to stop sharing so we can maybe see better each other. So Maylene, yeah.
Yes, so we have about 11 questions, so hopefully we'll have enough time to get to those. And again, if you have questions, you can enter them in the chat if you joined late. So first question is reflecting on sort of last year, is there any documentation or report or a postmortem on how distance learning went last year? Like, i.e., what things did we need to improve on? What things didn't work so well? Is that data gathered somewhere that people can review?
We did the work with the teachers at the end of the year, where we each of us, assessed the distance learning and what worked, what did not work. We did not gather the document with all these different pieces. There are many documents, regarding distance learning, but distance learning is also kind of, big word, because it's really different from a first grade to a fifth grade, for example. So we are not doing the same, and we are not expecting the same also. But we did our assessment of our own, distance learning with our teachers, with our faculty. And during the back to school meetings, we are going also to be really focused on trainings, technological training, pedagogical training, but also on sharing information. I think this distance learning, starting in the school year, is also it's also important that the teachers really know the students. And so we have carved out a lot of time during the pre-rentrée, the meetings with our teachers, so that they are able to share their information on, this student, here he is, here what he did last year, he needs this is the support. It's a bit different. Usually what we do is we have 1 or 2 weeks where the teachers are, getting to know the students, and then we share the information so that it aligns or not align, or sometimes it's not blurred by what they have heard. But right now, since we are starting remotely, we need a very detailed knowledge of each student. So that's what also we will do during the pre-entry. But to come back to the question, we don't have a documentation or something where we can show what our where's the growth and what we did well, but we did the job.
Thanks. Okay, so there's a question about the small groups. So how big will they be exactly? How many students in each, and how exactly will it work? How long are the kids in the small groups? Is it one teacher per small groups, or there's teacher assistants working there as well?
Yeah, so small groups will be usually a small groups is between 5 or 7. So this is where we want to which is what we want to target. The small groups will be usually maybe between 30 or 40 minutes. If we want to do a rotation, it's going to be that way. We want also maybe to use the breakout rooms. So we want to be also maybe the teacher can do the small groups with the assigned students, while the others are still working in their Zoom, maybe in other groups, or affinity groups or level groups, and then the teacher can go around the different groups, so from one group to another, because everybody is in the same Zoom call and spread out in the breakout rooms. I think this idea of having kind of different tables, physically in the classroom, what we will do is different space, different tables, and the teacher will move from one group to another. With the breakout rooms, it is possible. So this is our goal also. And the small groups instruction will be, as I said, it's going to be on the level. So maybe we'll have some groups in French, but will be different also in math or social studies, because it will really be based on the skills that they need to learn, and so their level also on the skills.
Okay, the next question is, we had quite a few similar questions about sort of the onboarding weeks and the schedule. So we just want to clarify that students are coming on campus. The goal is for them to come on campus even during distance learning. And if so, when will parents get that schedule of those dates and times?
Yeah, sure. Good question. So the onboarding week, I am in the process of planning all this. So it's also difficult because we want to welcome different groups on campus in the yard. So I'm planning it, and Magali will also do that with her kindergarten classes. So she needs also some space. So we are looking at the different options that we have. In fact, it's allowed by the health official because it's called more social gatherings. It's what we did for the graduation, for example. So social gatherings, meaning that we can implement also social emotional classes, and as I told you, assessment is allowed. And I've heard also that Governor Newsom is also going to maybe release a new thing regarding education, that struggling students or students with IEP can be welcome in person on campus. I think the idea is really maybe not having 100% of the time on campus, but the idea of this hybrid model is in the mind of many educators, because it gives also more sense, more accountability, and students expect this return on campus. And with all our safety protocols, I'm confident that it will work great. I didn't tell you, but I think Mehdi shared that with you in his last webinar. The yard has been kind of, you know, separated in different areas. And so we assigned an area to each pod. So basically we have now 5 or 6 areas, meaning that for the recess, for example, they won't be all together, like not all first grades. But for example, as we have grade 1A, grade 2A, you know, the A's can go out, the B can go out. So it's going to be also look very different for students, you know, in the yard. So this transition, this onboarding weeks, and I really put a plural on the week because we don't want only to be able to do that 1 week. We would like to keep it a little longer. It's going to be an important aspect of our plan. So it will be in the afternoon. One class will be spread maybe into 2, and you know, we'll have a first time dedicated to a first group, and then a second time for the second group with maybe some time off in between. But as of now, I'm not able to share any schedule or planning, but we'll definitely, I think beginning of next week, we'll be able to send out those schedule.
Great. So just to recap, by next week, there should be schedules about the onboarding. The onboarding will be happening for more than just the first week of school, but not necessarily during the entire distance learning time. Maybe for like the first month or so.
Yeah, correct. Okay. This is what we are aiming at. And then because we are in a webinar of grade 3, 4, and 5, because we want for the first and second grade to be more on a regular basis. So that's the difference, you know, that we are building for the different grades.
And if people don't feel comfortable, are you allowed to opt out of the onboarding, the physical?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's we completely understand. It's just for you to know that it's community building, and so those times will be, I think, also important for the students, you know, to see each other, to really get to know each other, although they know each other because they have been in the same grade for years. But it's also with the teachers. But it's definitely optional. It's not mandatory.
Okay. So there is a question about, is it possible to have a technological training for parents, or maybe a series of trainings? So that would be helpful for parents to understand the teaching tools, and then maybe expand to other things like managing online games or access or screen time.
Yeah, sure, definitely. We have already on our website some webinars and some recordings on how to use CISO, how to print from CISO, you know, because we always want to give this opportunity to be able to go on paper and pencil and not only do things digitally. So we have Maggie Sean, our instructional coach, have recorded different webinars around CISO. We are going to do on RAS Kids, on Zern. We might also be able to do it. And we can also definitely, you know, expand the scope of those technological tools, giving you some great, you know, learning website where students can, you know, learn from different other websites. This is totally doable.
Okay. There was a question about if you had any suggestions. You mentioned encouraging parents to have their students start doing some learning these next couple of weeks. Do you have any suggestions on how to approach that or organize that? Yeah. Or is there any messaging that will go out around that?
You know, as a parent, I'm experiencing it every day. For example, what I did with my own kids, I think the students at any age, they need a kind of routine and schedules. So what I did is a schedule for every day, each day, where I put, you know, time frame of 30 minutes or 1 hour, and you can plug free time, you can plug creative activities, but you can plug also French and math. And at the end of the day, they can have a reward. For example, my kids' reward is being able to have a PlayStation. That's it. And the only thing that they can do is, if everything has been checked, on the schedule, they will be able to go on the PlayStation. Creating a routine, creating different activities. Okay, you are going to work, but you're not going to do only this. You have free time, you have creative play, and that's where, for example, you can mix some kind of more academics with more project based. Like, we got a kitten, for example, last week, and so they had to really know how to draw a cat, for example, and so I printed them how to draw a cat, and it took them for an hour to be able to draw a cat. There is so many, I think, creative thing that we can do, building, drawing, painting, going out and writing your emotions. Also, I think the kids right now, they are 15 days away from school starts. Some of them, I think, are feeling stress, and the stress will ramp up, will go as the days will come close to the school starts. And you have to alleviate those fears. You have to help them, tell you, okay, how do you feel? What's your fear? How can I help you? How can I support you? It's really important that they express their feeling. And so this can be also part of some kind of, SEL or moment when you have those times when you can write, like, okay, every day you can write a sentence on your feelings. And this is what we do in our SEL program: express and do circle time, or lunch or dinner. Okay, how are you? What did you learn today? And to go back on the question, I can surely share with you, some resources. You have the Cahier de Vacances. So I hope the Cahier de Vacances has been already done, and then you can really have some more targeted exercise, prepared exercise, and I can send you an email with different resources, and I can do that over the course of this week for sure.
That'd be great. And in that email, could you maybe include a brief overview of what the different tools are? Because not everyone's familiar with like what Seesaw does or Zern. And
yeah, sure.
And someone asked for your kid schedules. Okay. So there's a question about the learning facilitators. Who will be the different teacher or learning facilitator in the learning pods? Is it another French teacher, an English teacher, an extended day enrichment staff?
We don't know yet. We have some leads. We are thinking of maybe, repurposing some of our administration staff or enrichment staff. We are thinking also of hiring some people, definitely bilingual people, people that can, are native French speakers, but also can deliver some English content, because the week will be, split into French and English. We are still in the process of deciding, my focus in late June and early July was on this distance learning. So I made a lot of, interviews. We had been, quite advanced with this. And suddenly we heard that, we were going back on distance learning. So my focus switch, and I'm full, concentrated on distance learning. But we also, I want to mention that when and if we will go back on campus, it's not going to be like on Friday we end distance learning and Monday everybody goes back on campus. We are allowing us 1 week or 10 days on a hybrid model. So we want to welcome the first grade, maybe first and fifth grade, and maybe the day after second and fourth. We want to be, because we want to train them also on the hand washing, on the time schedule, on the routine that they need, on the also new traffic in the hallways. And we don't want to mess up this transition period. If we shorten it, it won't work, because we'll have too many students on campus to deal with. That's the reason why when we will have, the green light to go back on campus, we'll have a hybrid model where we can have 1 or 2 days on campus and 3 days distance learning, and maybe ramping up a little bit until we are full speed ahead, and then we can welcome everybody.
There was sort of a comment question, someone saying that when you were talking about limiting screen time, that they agree with that, and would it maybe be better to dedicate some of that screen time towards direct teacher-student interactions versus digital recess or individual digital work?
Yeah, I agree. But as I said, we really believe that small groups is the key for learning. And when a teacher is with a small group, he's not with the other groups. So the idea, you know, of independent work can only, you know, I think is only here because the teacher is already, you know, doing something with other kids. So yeah, I agree. There's a kind of problem that we face because we want to limit screen time. We want to limit maybe, you know, reading online, but we don't have access to libraries. So for example, we are only able to use the RAS Kids, you know, app so that we have level books on hand. It's on screen, of course. It's not that great. But we have also to deal with you know what we have, and I'm a strong believer in direct instructions, in, you know, interactions, and but you know, the resources are limited and we can only do with what we have, and so if we in a grade we have the two teachers, unfortunately we might be able to get more teachers, you know, because others have some room in their contract. But for example, last year we were using some teachers assistant from the preschool as support groups because they had this time in the afternoon because the little one were not doing Zoom in the afternoon. This year the preschool is on site. So all the teachers' assistants are busy, you know, working almost all day. So it's going to change also how we are going to be able to deliver the support. And you know, I'm a creative person, but at some point when you have a limitation in the resources, there's a conflict.
Okay, so we have a few more questions. It is 10:30, so we have kept recording.
10:40, yeah.
So if you guys are, for those who can continue to stay, we'll go over some more. If not, we'll keep recording these. So we have a question from a new family. Welcome. So this question is a little bit, I think, along the lines of learning pods during distance learning. So wanting to connect with some other families with distance learning, and kind of, are there ways to do that? I will just say, I know this is for you, but this is something that the PA has wanted to address because it's a little bit difficult as a school. You know, we can't say that we, you know, we're encouraging everybody to get together. We also know the reality is that parents need support, and during this time of distance learning, they want to connect with other families. And so we are working with the PA, the Parents Association, and they have decided to sort of try to take this on and provide support in the form of a lot of guidelines and different sort of examples and tools for parents to connect with each other safely. So we don't have a full answer right now, but that is something that's being looked at because we know that that's a reality of distance learning and of needing that extra support for families and for students. So there should be more information coming about on that later this week. So I don't know if you want to add anything.
I think you said everything.
All right. There's a question about differentiation, that was very hard to see and not very visible online. Yeah. So how will the teachers implement differentiation in terms of content and interaction in distance learning?
Well, yes, small groups. As I said, small groups will be leveled groups, so will be more, you know, geared towards what you need to learn, what the skills are, and, you know, the fragility maybe of some learning concepts. And so those groups will be really, you know, targeted in differentiation. Of course, when you see on CISO, you see the assignments for the whole class. What we would like to do is, you know, having the opportunity to target the materials with you know, the students' needs. But it's complicated. Because it takes a lot of time, and I want to be mindful also with the teachers' time, because they spend hours and hours preparing the materials, but also correcting it on CISO, adding comments, recording themselves for the younger ones on CISO. And so having this individualized materials would only stretch them in their time, and we need our teachers, and we want to be mindful with them. So I think the task and the activity on CISO can be the same, but with the small groups, we can definitely differentiate.
There's one more question about small groups. Someone was saying that there's a lot of research that shows that girls do a lot of the work in the small groups. And is there someone that's going to be monitoring that? I think that's maybe referencing group projects, and I don't know if small group instruction is really organized the same way.
No, small groups is more, instruction, mini lesson from the teacher. Project-based management will be done also, maybe on a different basis, still with Zoom breakout rooms, maybe assigned the groups with their project, and they can work, and the teachers is spending some time with one group and then the others. But it's more project-based management than in small groups.
There's a question about surveying parents. Are you planning to survey parents every couple of weeks for feedback, similar to what was done in the spring? Is there a version maybe for the families so that they can have some quantitative data? Someone had talked about that earlier. And is there a plan to do a survey before school starts?
We are thinking of surveying the parents like we did last year. I mean, it's important that we have your feedback on how it works on your hand. We have not worked on a before back to school distance plan survey, because we are in the weed of building it and doing it from what you said last year, the teachers feedback and our vision for distance learning. We are not thinking of before going back to school doing a survey, but definitely when we will go with this model, you will be surveyed every as often as we need.
Is the 27th still a day where parents can come to pick up materials? How is that being organized? And will Chromebooks be available for pickup if kids are still using Chromebooks? That was
Yes. So first the devices. In grade 3, 4, and 5, they will all have a one-on-one Chromebooks. So grade 3, last year we were using iPads. It's not very efficient for grade 3 because they start writing, doing some projects, more in depth with writing. So we want also give them the opportunity of this typing tool. So there will be, it will be loaned a Chromebook for the distance learning. So grade 4 and grade 5, we have all those Chromebooks. In grade 3, there's been a backlog in the Chromebooks delivery, and we are not sure we'll be able to have them on the 27th. It's going to be more on the 2nd or 1st of September. So basically, we'll be able to loan an iPad before we receive all the devices. And the first question was on the 27th. I'm planning all the, same things, staggered pickup. We don't want 2 classes at the same time. And so we have also, teachers that, are on 2 classes for the G4 and G5. So I'm planning the entire day, and you will be able to pick up all the materials. We have made all the orders from France, so we received everything. So next week the teachers will be able to build all the packets and give you on the 27th all the thing. I think the schedule will be sent next week.
And as a follow-up, if families have regular computers that their kids can work, or can they buy their own Chromebooks if they choose?
Oh yeah, sure.
So.
Yeah, yeah. So we don't have a kind of, you know, safeguarding or whatever. On grade 5 Chromebooks, we have a Go Guardian, which means that a teacher can be able to monitor or to check if the student, for example, is doing his work and is not, you know, we have this opportunity also to maybe block some apps. I know that last year on iPads, it was also a question from parents. Can we as the school, for example, you know, not allowed YouTube or whatever, because some students it was hard for them to stay focused while they had this YouTube app. It's not possible, but we are also in the process of thinking process of how we can do better to manage our students' attention, and how we can you know, build this trust between teachers and students, so that we have students doing their work and not doing something else. So this will be also one aspect of the back to school with teachers, because we had some ideas at the end of the school year last year with faculty.
Okay, let's see. Can you, just one more question that came later about the onboarding. Will it focus on the bubbles, or will it be the whole class, whole groups?
I don't think it's going to be able on the bubbles. Although I would like. So same thing, it's a space issue, it's a time issue, and it's a resources issue, because I want you know, both teachers to be present on one day. So I'm not sure if it's going to be the class or the pods. As of now, I don't have the answer.
Okay, there's one question. Can you confirm how pods will work for children that choose to stay remote for health reasons, even once in-person learning resumes?
Okay, so this one is more good. Yeah, it's the home learning. It's what we call the home learning. So the home learning, you will receive information, you know, maybe beginning of September. So first, you are going to start with your class, distance learning with your teachers. Then for the home learning, we'll have a dedicated team. So Maggie will oversee the team. We have some teacher assistant, but we'll have also, for example, Pauline, who is the librarian and will be a part of the home learning team. So they will liaise with the teachers. You know, for the material, we will still post everything on CISO, and you will have Zoom with so Pauline or other teachers. Namely, we can't, for example, zoom in every day, like have a camera, you know, inside the classroom. It's difficult because you know, we have a different also teaching methods, and there's the group aspect or whatever. So it's not very meaningful to have those live stream, you know, in the class. We are more focused on interactions with a teacher, and maybe sometimes in the week when they do SEL in the classroom, integrate the student that is in the home learning, you know, so that he or she or they have access to you know, some kind of relationship with their classmates. But you will receive the more detailed plan. We're working on it also beginning of September.
There's just one more question. It's short. It's talking about, we're talking about the sort of the strictness of the safety protocols. Are students going to be required to get flu shots? I don't know if we know that yet.
As Mehdi said, we cannot require. It's recommended, the health official recommended, but we cannot require anybody to get a shot unless it's you know, required by the state law or the health officials. But we strongly recommend it.
That is all the questions that I received.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Maylene, for helping me. Thank you, all of you, for attending this webinar. I hope you had some, more clarity around our plans. So at the end of this week, we'll have our teachers coming back. And so we are going to work very hard to provide, more details around schedules, small groups instructions, and project-based learning. We want really to be mindful, of your time and of all the stress that you have been, through during all these periods. It's not an easy period. As I said, I would like to stress that we are dedicated to support you as much as we can. We have a creative faculty. We want to inspire our students. But the social emotional learning is so important in those days that we don't want also to kind of overload them with academics. And so we want to try to find the right balance regarding all this and what's happening right now. So thank you very much. If you have any question, you can send me an email, and I will be happy to provide more details. Thank you, and enjoy your day. Thank you very much.